The transition from silent to sound was definitely not an easy one. It marked a period of grave instability as well as emergence of new opportunity for creative flow. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of people panicked over the new technology presented, but a nice aspect was that there was a revival of national film everywhere. So everyone was making movies, except it started getting really nationalized and people running into problems. Ah. Alright, for the fun stuff. Woo! Okay, so silent films were presented with live music, so they weren't 100% silent, because they'd have a guy playing the piano, or there would be an orchestra there. Yeah. So Hollywood took its first step towards conversion in 1926 to 7 when Warner Bros. And Fox Films began wiring their theaters for sound in hopes of making more money. Unfortunately, things turned out differently. And Warner Bros. Introduced a sound system called the Vitaphone in order to replace live performances. 1 year later, on April 1927, Fox Studios launched Sound Newsreels, which was a sound on film alternative. Unfortunately, it was a novelty thing and people lost interest pretty quickly. It's a good thing that the sound system gradually progressed, so by 1930, most theaters were wired for sound. American sound films provoked an interest in European cinema and especially appealed to financial and industrial businessmen who knew that the patents were the keys to the box office. Thus, the Tonville Syndicate and Clang Film were born. Then in March 1929, they joined forces to fight off competition with American film, bringing the entire European industry under control. They used patents to slow down their opponents and took advantage of the language barriers and import restrictions. However, silent films could still be shown all over the world, though sound films were kind of prisoners of their own languages. Slowly but surely, the film market Hollywood once owned disintegrated. Because of this, they took the whole if you can't beat 'em, join 'em approach. And so they built studios in Europe to produce multilingual films, which was super duper expensive. And just when things couldn't get any worse, the Great Depression had hit America. The introduction of sound really messed them up, and European competitions rejoiced because their position improved courtesy of the disintegration of Hollywood. Though they didn't stop there because Toby's Clang Film Cartel demanded international sharing power, though they ran into trouble in July 1930 when other electronic companies held a conference for a new cartel. New agreements were made, and Europe's mainland belonged to Toby's Clang Film, and the rest of the world became American territory or was open to both parties. Then these other companies, Western Electric and RCA, agreed on interchanging ability so everyone could watch each other's films. Yay! Then in 1932, dubbing was introduced, which took 4 years to develop, and Hollywood was finally restored. The end.